Hey guys, what's up? It's Lainey, and today I'm finally doing my BEA book haul. Way back in the beginning of May, I attended BEA 2016. This year it was in Chicago, which I really appreciated because I'm closer to Chicago than I am New York. I'm 99% sure you probably have already seen all of these books in other book hauls. I thought I would kind of quickly go through them if I really don't remember what it's about because it's been so long since I read the back of all these books. I'm going to kind of say how I got the book, kind of like the experience of getting some of these books were really fun and stressful. Fun and stressful I think would kind of encompass what BEA is. Like last year, I do plan on hosting a BEA giveaway, which will be up by the time this video is up. I will be linking down below the Twitter links because it is going to be on Twitter like it was last year. All you have to do is retweet the picture and you're entered to win. Unfortunately, this year I have to do US only, and that is because I am moving next month, so all of my money is being saved for moving and getting new furniture and stuff, so I can only do US only. Very sorry about that, but it is what it is. Let's start with the samplers I got because surprisingly I did get samplers and I was happy to get some samplers. But the first thing we actually got at BEA, and I distinctly remember this because I got caught up in a mosh pit for a sampler, and that was for Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor. This is her new book. I actually like this sampler because it is bound, so it has a little bit more legitimacy to it. Also, it comes with cute packaging as well as some buttons. Next samplers I got was Crooked Kingdom by Lee Bardugo. The reason why I have two is because I met her one day and then I stood in line the next day for it again. The reason why I stood in line for the second time was because the first time I was in line the day before, I was like really awkward, like more awkward than I normally would have been, but I just was really flustered. I couldn't get any words out. I didn't know what to ask her or what to say, even though I've met her like 3 times last year. I was really caught off guard, especially when I came up and she said my name right away, so like she knew me. It was not good. So the next day I went back and I stood in line again, and this time it was way more cool. I was really collected and I even asked a question and I got an answer back. The first sampler I got was obviously addressed to me, to Lainey, and we got really cool Six of Crows tattoos, so I'm excited about that because I will put these on at some point, possibly for the book talk. I did get a second one, and this one I got personalized to Jill from Bookish and Nerdy because we love this book so much, so I knew she would really appreciate a personalized sampler of this, so I'll be sending that to her. I thought this one was worth mentioning, but I did get a sampler for Veronica Roth's new book that comes out in January. We were all making fun of this sampler because the sampler starts on chapter 7, so it's just like such a weird place. It's just, obviously I did not like Allegiant. However, I really did love Divergent, so I will be giving this book a chance. I haven't like sworn off her or anything. Like, I really am looking forward to this book. And it's a duology, so maybe I won't be disappointed. The next book I got I was really excited to get, and that was The Sun Is Also a Star by Nicola Yoon. This is perhaps the only YA contemporary author I love. Like, I read Everything in like 4 hours, one sitting. It was completely, I loved Everything, which is surprising because I don't like or go to YA contemporaries at all, really. Riley has already read this and she said how much she loved it, so I'm pretty sure I'm going to love this one too. I'm hoping to read it still during the summer. The #1 book that was in my sights to get for this year, I did manage to get, and that is Caraval by Stephanie Garber. I am so excited to read this book. I do know this book's like super buzzed about, and it's going to be probably really promoted a lot in January. Comes out in January 2017. I am planning to read this before it comes out because hype really affects me sometimes, and I don't want that to affect me during this book, so I just kind of want to read it before it gets really big. The next arc I got was Pandemonium to get this arc, and it's going to be really funny when I tell you how I got it, but that is Gemina by Jay Kristoff and Amy Kaufman. I'm actually 100 pages in, and I've been reading this for about a month, I think, because I read Illuminae directly before I read this book, that now I'm kind of stuck on this kind of format. I'm just kind of like don't really want to pick it up as much as I wanted to, but I'm really enjoying this more than I enjoyed Illuminae, so if that tells you anything. Here's another perfect example of getting swept up in the hype. This was during the bloggers conference and people really wanted this book, and then I'm like, well, I want that book because everybody else really wants that book, but I didn't get it. I noticed a bar off to the side. So are we really surprised that, of course, I find and zero in on the bar that it happens to be at the bloggers conference? I completely abandoned all the books because I'm like, I want to get a drink, of course. So Connor and I are kind of beelining our way over to the bar, and then I see Gemina is just kind of sitting in a box at one of the tables. I'm not saying it was somebody's, but I'm not saying it was somebody's, but it was in a box all by itself and no one was around it. So I'm like, I'm taking it. So I took it. This was a gem of a find. And I tended to do that a lot this year. I tend to find books just kind of laying around. I found an extra copy of Caraval just laying on a booth, and of course I took it, but I ended up giving it to someone. I found a bag of books. It's just really hard at BEA when you find something like that, because it could literally mean someone just had too many books and they just kind of put it off all into a corner, because we've done that before. If we end up with a book we don't want, we'll kind of just set it down and someone else will pick it up. Next book I got was Vasila in the Night by Sarah Porter. Sam and Sana ended up having an extra copy, so they just gave it to me. I know this book has to do with Russian folk tales, but it is a magical realism book, so that's all I know about this book. Next book I got was The Forgetting by Sharon Cameron. Sharon Cameron wrote Rook, which is a book I own and I want to read, but I just haven't picked it up yet. I think Riley described it as the fantasy version of The Purge. That's also all I know about this book. Another book that I somehow acquired was The Last Descendants. This is a Assassin's Creed novel. I haven't played any of the Assassin's Creed video games, but if you know what Assassin's Creed's about, it's basically that in YA form. Next book I got was Spontaneous by Aaron Starmer. This is a contemporary book, but on the back it talks about people like combusting somehow. This book I didn't really want, but it was handed to me because I played this duck game, and then when I picked up the duck, this was the book that I was supposed to get with it. So I really couldn't say no, so that's how I ended up with it. This book actually came with a poncho attached to the back of it, but it rained in Chicago and Marina's ended up taking the poncho for herself, so this will be a giveaway book, FYI. It's for fans of John Green. Another book I got was a contemporary romance, and that is 7 Days of You by Cecilia Venice. And this is about a girl being in Tokyo for 7 days and she reconnects with her ex, I think. This will probably also be a giveaway book because I'm not exactly interested in reading this. Another book I got was The Call by Kendar Ogeen. This one kind of sounds like a Hunger Games with Fae somehow, I don't know. Next book I got was The Continent by Kira Drake. This book comes out in January of 2017. This was a book that I found laying on the floor and I picked it up and I recognized the author plus the title and I thought, hey, why not? Next book I got was also in a book that I wanted to get here at BEA, and that was Three Dark Crowns by Kendar Blake. This has to do with three sisters who both have to battle each other for the crown. Only one of them can be queen, and each of them have like a magical ability that competes with the other. The crowns itself kind of have to do with each of their abilities. So I'm really excited to read this. Next book I got was Unrivaled by Allison Knoll. I was super excited to get this. It was the guilty pleasure book that I needed. It has to do with like kids in Los Angeles and like the Hollywood life. It reminded me a lot of this book series I read when I was in 8th grade, and that was The A-List by Zoe Dean. That was my all-time favorite book series. It got me really into reading, and when I read the synopsis of this, I was getting like those feels again, so then I had to get this book, and the fact that it's finished is also a sweet deal. This one I did wait in line to get it signed by the author, and she was super nice. Next book I got, two, both the same, The Diabolic by S.J. Kincaid. I missed the signing or drop or something, and Joss ended up grabbing it for me, so that's how I got the first one. How I got the second one was, of course, I found it. It was just sitting on a chair, so I picked it up and I thought, I'm really excited to read this, so I would like to give this book away as well. This is a science fiction book about like a galactic senate and humanoids. These next three books I'm going to show quickly, and these are books that I ended up getting for Kenya and Kayla and Jill. First one I got was for Kayla, and that is The Scourge by Jennifer A. Nielsen. She wrote The False Prince. I don't really know too much about this. Next, I got The 100 Lies of Lizzie Lovett for Kenya. This was kind of handed to me and I kind of asked the Wolfpack if anybody wanted this one, and Kenya said she'd take it, so this one's for her. The last one I got was for Jill, and that is Blood for Blood by Ryan Groudon. This is the second book in her Wolf by Wolf series. Next book I got was How to Hang a Witch by Adriana Mathur, and this comes out in July, so that's pretty soon. This is described as Mean Girls meets the Salem Witch Trials, and that really piques my interest because I didn't even know what this book's about. That alone was enough for me to want it. I know that the new girl in town is a descendant of the witch hunters of the time period, and the mean girls of the book are descendants of the ancestors burned at the stake. So that's interesting enough for me to want to read it. We don't have too many left, I promise. The next book I got was Poison Blade by Kate Elliott. This is the second book in our Quarter Fives trilogy series, I think. I did get the first book at BEA last year, and I know Caitlin from Book Chats thinks that I'll really like this series. I kind of forget what the premise of the first book is, but I remember when I first read it, I thought this is something I would enjoy. The next book I got was The Hatching by Ezekiel Boone. This reminds me of, you know, the monsters and the spiders in the movie The Mist by Stephen King. That's what this book reminds me of. So maybe I'll read it, maybe I won't. It's just like, sounds like something maybe I should try out because it's out of my comfort zone. I did get some comics at BEA this year. I got a compendium, volume 1, I guess, of Image's comic first, like the first single issues of some of their most popular series. I also got some single issues. I didn't really know what to get, so the guy ended up kind of picking some out for me. I Hate Fairyland, which I'm really excited to read because this did sound good. Girls, Fatale. This is like the first time I feel like I'm looking at them. Pretty Deadly, Phonogram, and Revival. We're down to the last three. First one being A Shadow Bright and Burning by Jessica Cluess. And this one I'm super excited for. This is about the only female sorcerer of her time, and I thought it was like a straight up fantasy book, but then once I read like the full synopsis on Goodreads, it actually takes place in Victorian England where they are training to be like the Queen's elite sorcerers. That just really shot up on my TBR list. I haven't read a book like that in that kind of time period, so that just super interesting to me. And this book comes out in September. Next book I got was Stalking Jack the Ripper by Carrie Maniscalco. I totally butchered that. I'm really excited to read this because, not to say that I'm obsessed with serial killers, because I'm not, but I'm super obsessed with Jack the Ripper. Jackie from J Book Lover and I, we were the first ones in line for this book. So this one was signed because we were in line for the author. But this comes out in September as well. It's coming up pretty soon. The last book I got was a book that I was also super excited to get and I wanted, and that was Frostblood by Ellie Blake. And I'll tell you why I first wanted to get this book. Who has blurbed it but the Queen herself? Also, after I read what this book was about, then it also kind of solidified I wanted to read this. It's a YA fantasy that has to do with people that have who are firebloods and people who are frostbloods, and it's kind of like this big war that's going on between them. So this comes out in January, and I know for sure 100,000% I'll get to this before January. That's all I have for my BEA book haul. Once again, if you're watching this, the giveaway is live, so down below you'll see the links to the Twitter post that you just have to retweet to enter. US only, I'm sorry. Quick note that I have not been uploading as much as I usually do. The reason behind that is I haven't really been in the mood to film, and I think a lot of that is because I'm moving soon, so I'm really stressed out about that and trying to figure out how to pack everything and throw away stuff I don't need. I just think once I get to my new place, I won't feel as cluttered and bogged down with different things, so I know 100,000% come August 2nd after I move in, I'm going to need to be filming a lot. Thank you guys all for sticking with me and understanding. Hope you guys all have a really great day, and I'll see you guys very soon. Bye!